Taiwan plans to buy over 10,000 domestically made rocket launchers. A long journey home. The remains of 4 indigenous warriors returned to Taiwan after 150 years. A legislative hopeful is defending her bid to become a lawmaker from pushback because she was born in China. Plus, new medical hope in Taiwan as it opens its first brain bank developing homegrown drugs and treatments. Good evening. You're watching Taiwan Plus News. I'm Eric Gao. Taiwan's military is planning to purchase over 10,000 domestically made rocket launchers and will start training new conscripts with these weapons next year. Jaime Okan reports.
Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen made headlines last year when she held up this domestically made rocket launcher. It's called the Kestrel, and it's used to take out tanks and armored vehicles. The military is now placing an order of more than 10,000 units and will start training new conscripts with the weapon next year.
所有采购的武器装备在获得之后，国军会依据敌情的威胁和部队的实际需求来做最适当的配置和规划，发挥最大的效益。
These types of shoulder-fired rockets have been used by Ukraine effectively against Russia's invasion. Systems like the UK's NLAW and the US-made Javelin have shown just how important portable firepower is when defending against an attack.
Absolutely. These man-portable systems are changing ideals about large armies' capabilities. Right? Any army who wants to invade another country, another city, has to do it very rapidly and with mass, with power.
Faced with its own threat from neighboring China, Taiwan is looking for new ways to protect its territory. If China were to launch an attack on Taiwan, invading forces would have to land hundreds of tanks and armored vehicles on its beaches. Analysts say the Kestrel rocket launcher would be key to stopping a possible invasion from getting farther inland.
比方说像是攻击主战车侧面背面，又或者是说攻击比较轻装甲的车辆，那甚至是用来攻击掩体或者是攻击那个敌人部队的重要的火点等等的，它其实是一种非常泛用的火力支援武器。
Over 5,000 Kestrel rocket launchers are already in service in the army, and military police in Taipei have already practiced using them to protect the presidential office. Now, with 10,000 more on the way, the military is hoping more of its soldiers can get familiar with this small but deadly weapon. Klein Wong and Jaime Okan for Taiwan Plus.
Tech giant Micron Technology has officially opened its newest factory here in Taiwan. This factory is the company's 4th in the central city of Taichung. It's going to focus on making high bandwidth memory products. Micron President and CEO Sanjay Mehrotra was at the opening. He says this new plant will serve increased demand from the growing AI industry. He also says Micron is dedicated to expanding its operations here in Taiwan. Micron is the largest foreign company in the country. The remains of Taiwanese indigenous warriors killed in the 19th century have been repatriated from the University of Edinburgh. Louise Watt reports.
A traditional cleansing ceremony to mark the return of 4 warrior skulls, taken 150 years ago during a Japanese invasion of Taiwan. The warriors were from the Paiwan, one of Taiwan's largest indigenous groups, and it was an emotional homecoming for the community.
内心的感动真的突然被人打劫了。
尤其看到有一颗是很年轻的头颅，其实对我们来讲都很锥心的痛。对，在那场战役有这么年轻的族人都要参与这个战役的部分，其实对我们来讲心里是非常的痛。
The skulls of the Paiwan's ancestors were taken by Japan in a conflict that had wider historical significance for Taiwan. In 1874, Japan invaded southern Taiwan in what it said was a mission to avenge the killings of dozens of shipwrecked sailors from present-day Okinawa by members of the Paiwan. But scholars say Japan used that as an excuse and a stepping stone for its eventual occupation and colonization of Taiwan. The skulls are thought to have been taken as war trophies. carried to Japan by a US Navy officer who was acting as a military advisor. Later, the skulls were taken to the US and finally given to the University of Edinburgh in Scotland in 1907, by which time Taiwan was a Japanese colony. Edinburgh has now given them back, saying it has been working to return items to representatives of the cultures from which they were taken. But the Paiwan community in Mudan Township did not initially welcome the idea of their returning ancestors.
因为认为他们并不是像一般人，寿终正寝的。但是后来在祖灵的引导及沟通之下，确实他是为了部落去牺牲自己的性命，所以我们才会慎重的去迎接他们回来。
According to tradition, the skulls can't be seen in public until various rituals have taken place. For now, they will be kept in this museum, about a 3-hour drive from where the original battle took place, where they will undergo testing before being moved to a permanent resting place. And this time, it will be up to the indigenous community themselves to decide what happens to them. Devon Tsai and Louise Watt for Taiwan Plus.
A China-born Taiwanese woman's bid to become a lawmaker is splitting Taiwan's political world. John Van Trieste has this story.
On paper, Xu Chunying is the same as any other citizen of Taiwan. She's lived here for 30 years, has this national ID card, and this passport. But Xu was born in China, which claims Taiwan as part of its territory and has vowed to take it by force if need be. And that Chinese background is causing her problems now that she wants to run for office. Naturalized citizens must give up foreign citizenships to run for office and must wait 10 years before they can run. But Xu and the hundreds of thousands of Chinese-born people who've started lives in Taiwan live in a gray area, even if they naturalize like she has. Chinese people who naturalize anywhere else lose their Chinese nationality automatically. But not Taiwan, since China doesn't see it as a foreign country. The only other ways to renounce Chinese citizenship are to be related to foreigners or to have what Chinese officials consider a good enough reason. Xu says this basically leaves her with no way to get rid of her Chinese citizenship, even if she might want to.
我们要怎么回去放弃对岸的国籍?
But with China and its communist leaders becoming increasingly hostile towards Taiwan, not everyone is sympathetic. There have even been questions about her loyalty in some political circles. Ruling Democratic Progressive Party presidential candidate Lai Ching-te even called her a communist, without providing evidence. Reactions have been split along party lines.
那你有这样的一个身份，跟有这样的一个言论，那都要受到民众的检验。既然赖清德曾经这样的质疑，赖清德有这个义务，必须对外澄清跟说明。
Whether Xu's hopes to get on the ballot go forward, her case highlights the complications and suspicions Chinese-born people face in making Taiwan their new home. Her potential candidacy also opens up another political fault line just 2 months before Election Day. Delphine Chen and John Van Trieste for Taiwan Plus.
1 person was killed and 38 people injured after a tour bus overturned in Yilan County in northern Taiwan. That bus was carrying 42 people, including the driver and a tour guide. One passenger, a 70-year-old woman, was unresponsive at the scene. She was later pronounced dead at hospital. An initial investigation found that the bus had suffered a brake malfunction. It veered off the road and into a guardrail before overturning. Taiwan has opened its first brain bank. This facility will collect tissue samples to develop drugs and treatments, keeping the country ahead of the game in brain health care. Bryn Thomas has this story.
Pulling back the curtain on the human brain. This facility at the National Taiwan University Hospital in Taipei is the country's first brain bank. It just opened its doors and will soon start collecting samples of brain tissue from deceased donors. Taiwan's medical community hopes it will prove to be a valuable resource for medical professionals.
台湾大部分的研究大概都神经的系统研究大概都局限于动物研究，理由就是因为没有人脑的组织，所以其实从动物到疾病中间跳过人脑组织，其实这是很大的一个我们说 gap。那现在至少我们有这样子的脑库，我们希望可以满足大家的需求。
Taipei's new brain bank joins an estimated 150 others around the world. In the past, medical researchers in Taiwan had to apply for samples from abroad, but accessing them was difficult, and the ones they could get didn't always reflect Taiwan's population. Having a local brain bank creates a library focused on local diseases and disorders and provides samples with Taiwanese genetic makeup. It's hoped that this will help pave the way for better research and, as a result, better medicines and treatment. And although Taipei's medical community says it's a step in the right direction, they also emphasize that it needs community support.
第一个方向就是要让脑库能够维持运作，那这个卫福部这边会来支持。第二个方向的话是脑部的研究，那这个部分的话就政府就要靠这个科技计划来支援。
And while most agree that the brain bank is headed in the right direction, it may take some time before its potential is fully realized. Leon Lin and Bryn Thomas for Taiwan Plus.
Taiwan has seen its third major hornet attack of the season, as calls to public services about sightings of the insect have increased as well. Scientists are now weighing in on why there's been such a big rise in incidents this year. Jeremy Olivier has more.
Out for a leisurely walk, a hiking group was attacked by a swarm of hornets in the mountainous area of Nantou County in late October. 6 of the 14 people in the group suffered minor injuries.
这2个现场就是被叮比较多包，还会有点喘，剩下4个人就是比较稍微还好。我们现场问他们，他们说这是黑色大只的，所以也不太确定到底是土蜂还是虎头蜂这样子。
It's just the latest in a growing number of hornet attacks in Taiwan this season. In one case, in New Taipei, 2 people died from their stings. Asian hornets are a native species in the country. They're usually most active in the late summer and early autumn months, due to the insect's life cycle. Every spring, queens search for suitable places to build nests for their colonies. Once found, they begin raising the first generation of worker hornets, and the colony grows. It reaches the mature stage as summer ends, and hits its peak at the end of autumn. After the male and female hornets mate, the females live through the winter and become the queens of new colonies, while the rest of the original nest dies off. Some scientists say the recent attacks could be related to climate change.
我们最近几年好像很少台风进来，所以最近几年那个虎头蜂的这个数量没有这个天然灾害的影响变多了，而且最近几年我们也发现到说，这个气候暖化，气候这个真的是也造成虎头蜂跟着生态会改变。
Hiking on mountain trails is a major pastime here, one that has become even more popular in the past few years. But though it's an activity with few barriers to entry, there are still risks to be aware of, including wildlife like hornets. Experts say there are a few things hikers can do to keep themselves safe and hornet sting free. Most advise not to use strong perfumes or wear clothing that's too brightly colored. But others say that just getting out of the hornet's line of sight is the most important thing.
它们对于震动、对于气流是敏感的，但虎头蜂的视力其实不是很好。如果你发现这个虎头蜂从正面出来攻击你、追击你，你当然是要反面啊，因为它家在那里。
While wild species are a central part of Taiwan's biodiversity, not all of them mix well with humans. As climate change continues to impact the country's wildlife, people who enjoy its natural scenery should be aware of those effects and how to stay safe. Klein Wang and Jeremy Olivier for Taiwan Plus.
In sports news, Taiwan's Ling Yunru has won the men's table tennis singles event at the WTT Champions Tournament in Frankfurt, Germany. Ling is nicknamed the Silent Assassin, and he faced off in the final against Ma Long of China, who many see as the greatest player of all time. Ma won the first game, but then Ling took the next 4 to clinch the best-of-7 match. Ling is currently ranked 12th in the world in the men's game. Coming up after the break, a discovery on Green Island is raising hopes for wildlife conservationists. Stay with us.
stories from Taiwan and around the world, download the Taiwan Plus app.
At a time when the world feels more divided, a platform for diverse voices to come together. I'm Divi Gopalan. Join the dots. Be part of the conversation. Connected where opinions matter.
Welcome back. You're watching Taiwan Plus News. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has met with Chinese President Xi Jinping in a sign of thawing diplomatic relations. Albanese is the first Australian leader to visit China in 7 years. During talks with Chinese Premier Li Qiang earlier in the day, he emphasized strengthening trade and economic engagement between the two countries. For his part, Li said that China will work to remove barriers to foreign investment and to expand market access. Relations between these two countries have deteriorated in recent years due to disputes over Chinese telecoms firm Huawei and over COVID-19. Ukrainian soldiers say Russia has ramped up artillery fire over the last month. It comes after reports that North Korea provided Russia with over 1 million shells.
То, что там, я слышал, передали снарядов им немало. Корея тоже ощущается.
Now, in September, the United States said that Russia was facing supply issues in its invasion of Ukraine. Ukrainian soldiers say despite the recent uptick in Russian artillery use, it is still significantly lower than shelling was a year ago. Air pollution is rising to dangerous levels in northern India, blanketing the capital of New Delhi and other regions in a harmful, thick smog. As Rosie Graninger reports, residents in the most polluted city in the world are struggling with this annual phenomenon.
Delhi disappears under a toxic haze as air pollution chokes the 33 million residents of the Indian capital. Schools closed their doors and construction halted in the city after the air quality index reached over 400, a level that's considered severe. For some people, there's no escaping the smog. These security guards have to work 12-hour shifts outdoors.
सीने में दर्द सा महसूस होता है और ये प्रदूषण ज़्यादा है इसलिए हम मास्क लगा के रहते हैं इस चक्कर में हमें बहुत दिक्कत हो रही है 2-4 दिन से सर काफ़ी पॉल्यूशन बढ़ चुका है
It's becoming the new normal for the winter time between November and January, now commonly dubbed pollution season. The spike in hazardous air is being blamed on farm burning in neighbouring regions. That smoke is blown into Delhi, and then stagnant winds and a drop in temperature traps toxic particles. But car emissions, factory plumes and rubbish burning also play a major role, and the health impacts are already evident.
I've been complaining to my friend that I have been having difficult to breathe here and also feeling a kind of disease because of the entire pollution situation here.
Doctors are seeing long-term effects too, with a rise in breathing, heart and lung problems. And according to research from the University of Chicago's Energy Policy Institute, the people of Delhi could have their lives shortened by as much as 11.9 years. People are warned to wear masks and only go outside when needed, but they say this is not a viable solution.
बाहर नहीं आएंगे तो फिर कहाँ कमाएंगे कैसे क्या बच्चों को किस तरीके से पालेंगे फिर ये बताइए हम तो डेली काम करने वाले हैं डेली कमाने वाले डेली बच्चों का करने वाले
The government has deployed methods to tackle the problem, including sprinkling water on roads to reduce dust and building 2 smog towers meant to clean the air. But experts say that's not enough.
Solution is not in these reactionary measures. The systematic and comprehensive solution lies in reducing emission load at source.
And the smog is going beyond Delhi, reaching Agra, more than 200 kilometres away. With the public health crisis becoming an annual phenomenon, the one thing that's clear is that more needs to be done here to battle the air pollution. Eason Chen and Rosie Greninger for Taiwan Plus.
Back in Taiwan, a group of cancer survivors and supporters have set off on a bike ride around the country. They're hoping to spread a message to other cancer patients and survivors. Tiffany Wong has details.
The Unshakable Knights. That's what this group of cancer patients, survivors, and supporters call themselves. They're on a 10-day bike ride around Taiwan to show people that with a strong will and positive attitude, they can conquer anything. The lead rider, Liao Shufang, was 47 when she was diagnosed with cancer. Although she had always paid attention to her health, she decided to try adding cardio exercise to her routine. Now she wants to encourage people to exercise more for cancer prevention and recovery.
一起运动并不只有运动，那个是很多的是心灵上的一个支持，大家都有走过相同的经历。我突然觉得我的身体比以前更好，而且有人一起运动呢，你就可以创造出了更多的快乐。
Keeping the group running is Wu Xingchuan, a former marathon runner and colon cancer survivor. He hopes his story can keep cyclists motivated on the 10-day journey.
大肠癌3期，他这一刀我今天15年来没事。
As long as cancer is detected and treated early, medical experts say exercise can help patients get better.
有氧运动的对癌友的这个后续的生活品质甚至身体的抵抗力都会有很显著的提升。
This is the Taiwan Anti-Cancer Association's 11th annual cycling tour of Taiwan. A group of medical experts will accompany the riders as they cycle along the coast of the island. Riders hope their journey will help other patients find joy through fitness and give them the strength to fight cancer together. Luffy Li and Tiffany Wong for Taiwan Plus.
People running in the Penghu Marathon were treated to an unusual mid-run boost. Laurel Stewart reports.
While most athletes refuel with energy gels or carby snacks, these runners at Taiwan's Penghu Island Marathon are munching on something unconventional to get them through the 42-kilometer race. They're snacking on crab, lobster, and other types of seafood. At the 9 rest stations throughout the course, the event organizers provided over 70 local delicacies, and many of the runners joined the race just to get a taste.
为了吃龙虾，是一个新鲜感。主办单位的用心，所以我们每个人都很期待这一次的路跑。
With about 4,000 participants in the full marathon this year, the annual event attracted more people than ever, and the seafood wasn't the only appeal. Organizers say the event highlights Penghu's natural scenery.
一边吃一边享受澎湖的美景，那也会途经这个牛心山的漂亮的这个石户，还有二坎传统的聚落，然后还有滨海的路线跨海大桥。
Racing among breathtaking views and fueled by Penghu's local cuisine, runners were treated to a truly unique marathon experience. Alex Chen and Laurel Stewart for Taiwan Plus.
The world's largest crab is vanishing from its natural habitat, but a discovery on one of Taiwan's islands has given researchers hope. Carol Hughes has more.
This is the world's largest terrestrial arthropod, the coconut crab. They're named after how they skillfully crack open coconut shells. But the giant crustaceans are vanishing. Conservationists point to habitat loss.
它实际上数量族群要好好维护，必须要有好的栖地。栖地这样的栖地其实也在过去的话就有一些开发。
Coconut crabs are found across the Indo-Pacific. They are not hunted by other animals, but they're considered a food delicacy. Combined with the destruction of their habitat, the population is dwindling. But a recent crab survey on Taiwan's Green Island has given conservationists hope.
也不是只有看到这样的一只，看到有几只不同年龄层的椰子蟹，所以那2天在夜晚在绿岛，我们发现这样的一个难得发现的记录里面，非常非常高兴。
Coconut crabs can live up to 60 years. They don't reach maturity until age 5. Such long lives mean the crabs have more time to reproduce, which is good for conservation efforts. It's not just people in Taiwan trying to boost the crab population. Conservationists in Japan are also doing research.
也就是说，太大的它的繁殖力比较强的个体呢，这个政府也不希望去捕捉它，所以是在胸甲长大概4公分到5.5公分这个区间内可以去捕捉，然后利用。
The coconut crab is vanishing, but discoveries on Green Island and efforts across the region will hopefully ensure these creatures have many years of cracking coconuts to come. Delphine Chen and Harel Hughes for Taiwan Plus.
Thanks for joining us here on Taiwan Plus News. If you want to see our reports wherever you go, you can get updates on the Taiwan Plus app. Finally, check out the Diwali or Festival of Light celebrations held here in Taipei on Sunday. I'm Eric Gao. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.